This is a pod. A pod about dogs.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Healthy Dog Pod. Today we have Michael, the founder of SavourLife, and has recently set up AdoptaDog AU. Welcome to the show, Michael. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, how you got into this industry?
Oh, thanks, mate. Hi, everyone. My name's Michael MeTeigue. I'm the founder of SavourLife Dog Food. We're a small family-owned and operated dog food company based here in Sydney. What we do is we make a range of natural food and treats for dogs, keep half the profits, run the company like a normal company, but then give the other half of the profits away to smaller volunteer-run rescue groups and shelters across the country to help them save and rehome dogs, I should say. So kind of an unusual business in the world of big multinationals that kind of dominate the dog food industry. But you know, we've been around for about 5 years now, and I started the company with my wife. Or actually, it's almost 6 years ago now, because we thought we had a really interesting way of helping rescue dogs. We've got dogs ourselves, and just thought it was a really kind of cool concept. Everyone needs good food for their dog. Everyone needs, nice treats for their dogs. But if you can help a rescue dog in the process of that, I, as a consumer, thought that would be kind of cool.
It is, isn't it? Like we've probably, as dog owners, all seen the SavourLife bags in the stores, and one, it's a great logo. It grips everybody. But as soon as you see that big 50% off, 50% towards rescue dogs, It's a great way of grabbing everyone's attention because it's such a great cause.
Yeah, and I love going in the car, buying it, and then going online and typing in the code, and you actually get to see which dog you're helping, which dog that money goes to, and you feel so good. You're like, oh, awesome! I'm helping this rescue dog. I think that's great.
Yeah, thanks. It's bringing it a bit closer to people too, I think. So whether you're able to rescue a dog yourself or not, this is a way you can help. If you can't rescue a dog, or if you've already got dogs yourself,
you can support a really good cause this way.
Yeah. And then people are blown away when we start telling them about some of the numbers. As a wealthy country, we don't do a great job with abandoned dogs. So about 200,000 get abandoned every year across Australia.
That's massive.
200,000 end up in shelters, I should say. About 110,000 of those are then truly abandoned. Some get reunited with their owners, but about 110,000 don't. And then about 44,000 of those dogs are sadly euthanized. So for a wealthy country, it's a huge problem and something that's not a great shining light on Australia. So part of what we do is trying to shine a light on that.
It's a really good, it's a really big issue, I suppose, in this country. I mean, as well, like the biggest reason why dogs end up in shelters, get abandoned, and essentially get euthanized is behavior. It's the number one cause for that. And as trainers and behaviorists, this is something that we're really up against. Trying to promote education around dog behavior in the first place is going to be a big factor in terms of getting on top of that, because without education in the public on how to handle problem behaviors, but one of the things we're trying to do as a company is really try and be what we call preventative care. So right from when the puppy's born, do you know how to set that puppy up for a win? Is our way of getting on top of this issue. I think it's essentially we're all trying to do the same thing. You've got the same goal of trying to get dogs that are in rescue situations in better conditions, and essentially fewer of them in there. And we've got the same target as trainers and behaviorists, like keep that dog in the house and create a happy relationship so that it doesn't end up in those circumstances.
Yeah, it's people's changes in their personal circumstances, behavior issues because of people getting the wrong type of dog for them at the wrong time in their life is a massive problem. You mentioned AdoptaDog at the start of the program here. That's something that we've just launched. So SavourLife is a food company, but part of the stuff that we do is try and help rescue dogs whichever way we can. So we've just launched a a portal off our main website called AdoptaDog. So there's about 1,500 dogs on there now from rescue groups all across the country, and people can go on there and look for rescue dogs that might be suitable for their family. So we've got all these filters. Do you have kids? How old are your kids? Do you have other pets? What's your living situation? Those kind of things, so that. One of the things that we're trying to do to stop the abandonments in the first place, that's kind of trying to stop it up the front of the funnel, is to get the right dog with the right person at the right time of their life. Yeah.
Big factor.
Yeah, it's huge. So if we can just, it's just like 3 or 4 questions people need to ask themselves. But if you're a guy in your young 20s and you're working 80 hours a week and you live in a studio apartment, you probably shouldn't get a cattle dog. Yeah. That's going to be an issue, but people don't know that.
But
yeah,
it is an issue because there's typically a tradies dog.
Yeah,
and they each breed has a typical type of owner, of course, and each type of owner generally goes towards a certain type of breed, and we have all these stereotypes. But I think that's how much dog ownership, we've got to acknowledge how much dog ownership has changed over the last 20 years. It's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
We don't just leave them in the yards.
No.
We're involving them in more and more life. And so actually, I think one of the things I always try and promote with dog owners, I got a little rescue dog myself, and what I did was be really honest with myself as to what my circumstances were. I mean, I rent, so I wanted a small dog. I love exercising, but I actually realized that's my time. For me, I don't really want to exercise with my dog. So now I've got this tiny little fluff ball that's a pub dog. He's essentially the best pub dog ever because he's lazy as hell. But what I did was actually acknowledge what were my circumstances, what do I really need before what I want.
Yeah. That's exactly what what we're trying to get people to do. So we absolutely believe that every home should have a dog, but then every dog should have a home. So it's just getting people to ask them those couple of questions. You did a really good job with your questions of yourself. That's impressive. So if we can just get people to ask a couple of questions about their lifestyle and their living circumstances, and then just try and match the dog with that.
Well, this is the reason why I don't have a dog yet, because I don't have the space for a dog. I don't have the time for a dog at the moment. I have a little rabbit. But he's perfect for me at the moment because, I'm in and out and he's a lot easier to look after than a dog. But I eventually want to get a dog, but I want to get the right type of dog. I want to have the right house. I want to have a yard that I've dog sat a few times, so I've had to be on the 5th level and then take the dog out to the toilet at 12 o'clock at night. And that's not quite fun, is it? In the freezing cold. So, I want to get the right place to have a dog. And I'm not rushing into it either. I think a lot of people, they've had a type of breed when they're younger and then they're like, oh, I'll get that breed because I had it when I was younger, but it's probably not the right breed for them to have.
For them. Yeah, you're right. And the apartment situation is a perfect example of that. If you're bought up on a 1/4 acre lot up in the suburbs and you live in the inner city now in a small apartment, there are dogs that suit that environment really well. That's right. But it's probably not the same dog that you had when you're a kid in the burbs.
And I think as well a good education around the fact around behavior, just education that behavior is not guaranteed. It can change at any moment. The dog goes through life stages and the behavior will change. And just because you sign up to a certain breed or anything in particular, you've got to listen to the individual. It is an individual. It will do its own thing. And you might end up with a circumstance that you didn't plan for. And that's where if you overimpose your will and your life on that dog and it is hating it, this is where problem behaviors can come in. And actually just a bit of education on that so that people don't rehome the dog purely because it didn't meet the standard that they set in their head would go a long way to keeping these dogs in the home. Because people, I find, they almost give up. I mean, you wouldn't bring a child into the world and just give up on it because it didn't fit your life anymore. And I feel like a dog is exactly the same way. They're individuals. They're animals. They're living things, and they can make choices. And we've got to respect their needs. So this is where I mean you've talked a few times, and I'd love it's where we sit down and we always talk about this sort of thing, and we're trying to find out ways, aren't we, to work together, and it's always fun. So this is where I think, you know, projects like yours and mine and Sophie's can really come in and dovetail together, and, you know, like today, just sit down and actually get a message out there. It's a pretty consistent message, just coming from everybody.
I'm glad you talk about commitment, because it is a commitment. You know, the one of the first things we put on AdoptaDog is this is a commitment, both financial, time, personal. You need to be in the right headspace for it. But there are so many positives that can come out of the getting a dog too. So, you know, mental health, exercise, you know, love, unconditional love. You know, they're great. They're great to have around. So, but you know, the training part is a big part of it, because every dog needs to be trained. Otherwise, it does cause issues for you, and that's when it sometimes snowballs out of control a little bit if people haven't had either the time or the ability to train their dog from a very, you know, small pup, even to when they're, you know, still elderly, if you want to call a dog elderly. You know, it's still important to train your dog. So for everyone's sake, I think
that's it. And when that dog comes out of a shelter or a foster home and is getting rehomed, you know, most people, I think it's fair to say that a lot of rescue dogs in general have a stigma, you know, or maybe it's damaged goods or something like that, but it's not always the case. It's like any dog. That dog was a puppy once. It came from a breeder. You know, it's not somehow magically now 18 months and rescue dogs are broken. It was a puppy. It came from somewhere, and it's fair enough to be able to train a dog that was come from a breeder at 18 months. It's as easy there as it is a rescue. We just actually have a clean slate, which is even easier. It hasn't got any prior learning of that environment. Sure, it might be carrying some stress, because change of circumstances will bring inevitably stress. Change brings, we all know that, but allow it to recover, allow it to rest. I think one of the big mistakes and pitfalls people fall into is they'll get the dog and then they'll ask it to do everything that they want it to do in its life in the first week and almost set it up to fail.
Right.
They'll bring it out and throw it in the deep end and go, oh shit, that's not the dog I wanted. Well, of course it's not. It doesn't know who you are, what your name is, where you live.
Still getting to know you,
Yeah. Give it time. We normally say about 3 months.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
12 weeks for the dog to learn weekly patterns and things like that. And in those first 3 months, the dog is not trying to do anything but actually figure out how to survive and just live, stay alive, and
see where it fits in. In the pack kind of scheme of things. It's we have a section in AdoptaDog which is kind of like myths. Trying to get people through some of the myths, and the number one is one of the big ones I should say is that people think there's something wrong with a rescue dog. That's why they think there's some issue with it. But the number one reason a dog gets abandoned, and it's been proven time and time again across countries, is change in personal circumstance of the owner. A relationship breakdown, a move, some big change, new job, some big massive event in the owner's life causes a disruption for the dog somehow, so and that's when behavioural issues start popping up, or people say, I just can't handle this anymore, and that's when dogs get abandoned. So Max, our dog, is a perfect, maybe not a perfect example, but Max, Ian knows Max. Max is a perfectly healthy, lovable Labrador. And he was 6 months old, and he did chew a bit, granted. But
age appropriate behavior.
Someone let go of Max, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with Max. He's a beautiful dog. Little bit crazy.
He's a legend of a dog. He's all dog.
He's
the best way to put
dog.
it. He's all or nothing. But he's a great dog, and you took the time. You took on a dog that was 6 months old, and you put the time and effort in, and were patient, and that's what it took. And you did the same with Missy. That's how we originally met 4 years ago now.
What's Missy? What type of dog?
Oh, Missy is our other rescue dog. She's our older one, yeah.
beautiful.
But she actually plays into the stereotype a little bit because she's a 3-legged dog. So someone abandoned her with a crushed leg when she was 4 weeks old at a vet.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and one of the rescue. Well, on the bright side,
Yeah.
they took her to a vet and said when they let go of her as a responsibility, but at least they took her to the vet.
Yeah.
And from there, one of the rescue groups that we work with, a really quick thinking vet nurse, called them and said, "Hey, I've got this beautiful little Staffy cross Fizzler cross something." And unfortunately, she's going to be euthanized unless someone can step up and save her. And they had a bit of money from us donating to them so they could afford to take her on board. They had to amputate a leg at that point, which is about a $5,000 operation, which is a lot for a volunteer organisation.
Yeah.
But they did it, and that's what these rescue groups do. They do wonderful things like that. I mean, that scenario plays out 1,000 times a week across Australia.
Yeah.
And if we can, as SavourLife, get money into that grassroots level to groups like that, they can do stuff like that then, and they can do it again the next week because we've given them some money. So we hope that's what we can help do.
And Missy, really, I think really early on, Missy was, I think, a bit of an eye opener for you.
Yeah.
Get to see firsthand. I think you'd already set up SavourLife.
Yes.
But she definitely opened your eyes into the rescue world and desperate circumstances like that. I remember when you were talking about it back then, and it's like, wow, this is actually happening. Yeah. And it kind of cemented the project even further, didn't it?
Yeah, she's again, she plays into the stereotype a little bit of what we're trying to say, because she's a 3-legged dog, but she's a very striking looking dog, and everywhere we go, people kind of ask her story. So she's a great ambassador for those little rescue groups and some of the things they do. And no, it's literally every time I take her for a walk, someone will stop me and ask about her story. So I get to tell them about rescue dogs and stuff like that, and the process of doing that, which is great because some people either haven't heard of rescue dogs or don't know that that's an option for them. So
I think it is a great option. I deliberately I'm going back to my dog, but I deliberately got a dog that was older. We're not sure how old he is. When I got him between 7, they sold me between 7 and 9.
But you took your time as well, with looking for the dog that you wanted, which was great.
Yeah.
That's what everyone should be doing, not just jumping straight into it.
Yeah, I recognised what I wanted and then contacted a rescue and asked them to let me know if anything with this kind of criteria came along.
Yep.
And I waited about a month and a half. But the fact that I love the fact that he's older. I actually don't know. I might get a puppy in the future, but taking on the older dog it just felt like an amazing thing to do. It was completely self-indulgent.
But that's great. So senior dogs are kind of the harder ones to rehome, because a lot of people are looking for puppies. But senior dogs are great. They're already done most of their living and they're chilled and, they're great to be around and they're not so high energy. Perhaps they don't need to be walked as much, but
That's it. And what did we say? I say he's 8. Then we're going in the middle, right? These little dogs, he's probably he potentially could live another 8 years.
Yeah.
So, I'm not getting a dog at the end of his life, especially, if anybody sees him, we can stick a photo up on social media of him because when we got him, he had liver, kidney problems. He was flea bitten from the back end and just had 13 teeth out. I might as well just gone and picked up Gollum. But he's a gun of a dog now. You look at him, and I thought I was getting a scruffy dog. Honest to God, I thought I was getting this like a scruffy terrier.
Yeah,
he's a fluffy.
Yeah, right.
Like, all right, okay, mate. Off we go to the pub.
I think that's because his back end was shaved, so he looked kind of like a lion.
It wasn't
at the
shaved,
front.
mate. It was flea bitten.
No, flea. Yeah, but it was balding. That's what I mean. But like the front, he sort of looked like a little lion mane on him, and then when he grew out, he was just this big fluff.
He did actually look like he'd had a tutu pulled up over his head.
But you're gonna have to put up a
it's a great photo.
It'd be good to show people the transformation in him from the time you got him to the time what he looks like now, because a lot of people don't realise what a difference you can make in some of the lives.
You would not recognise him.
It's amazing.
yeah, we'll put the photo up for sure. And this is it. Like bringing a dog in to the home, like you said a minute ago, there's so many benefits. It's scientifically proven. It reduces anxiety and stress. Every time you pat your dog, you get a chemical reaction of oxytocin. So does the dog. It's an amazing bond, and bringing a pet dog into your home is meant to be meant to be one of the best things that you can do in life. I think I read a stat just the other day. I think it was 38% of homes in Australia have got a dog in.
Wow,
that's quite a lot. That's nearly 40% of the homes. But that means that means we're a dog-loving country. And I think if the love's there, then there's a care factor, and then if there's a care factor, then we've got a really good market to educate. And so I think as much as there is a problem, there's too many dogs in the shelters, but I feel like we can get on top of it because people care. I mean, people invest in their dogs so much.
Where was it recently? I think it was the Netherlands or something like that. They've reduced all the shelter dogs in the world.
Yeah, Netherlands are the first country in the world to declare themselves to have 0 strays.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how they did it. I didn't actually
Isn't that amazing?
Do you know how they did it?
I think they said they just desexed a lot of dogs and tried to go through rescues and stop people from buying from breeders and younger puppies. And then, they've stopped all the strays, which is... I read it. I was like, what? It's amazing.
Yeah, they've done a good job.
Yeah.
So there's like a myriad of projects that they put in place, though, from, like you said, desexing to changing, ownership laws and how people acquire dogs. And we're the second highest percentage of households that have pets in the world. So it only kind of take like a little bit of a swing in that to rescue dogs to kind of clear the shelters. It is literally an education kind of thing, and getting the word out about rescuing and adoption as an option, because the Netherlands has proved that you can do it, and I don't think that us in Australia, that we should not be far behind that. I think we should be able to get there.
Absolutely. I think there's, I think kind of look at it as there's 3 factors to consider. You've got the general public and education in terms of how to actually look after the mental health of the dog. I mean, so many people understand how to look after the physical needs of the dog, but physical needs don't really cause that many problem behaviors. Understanding the mental needs of the dog and emotional needs of the dog will keep dogs happier and stress-free, and so problem behaviors will go down. Then you've got the actual situation we've got currently in terms of rescues and breeders, and education for them. And actually, like yesterday, I was in Sydney Dogs and Cats Home, and we were just going through with their team how to interact with the dog calmly, with the goal of actually setting these dogs up for the best possible chance to be rehomed. So hyperarousal, big issue in rescues, really intense environments.
In a shelter, yeah.
And if we can teach them at that level, but when you greet a person, it's positive and calm, then by the time they're getting into a home, they're greeting people. The dogs are so comfortable in the presence of people that they're just relaxed. And we don't have to be corrective, because that whole mentality shift of if we go in calmly and actually set them up for a win in the first place means we don't have a correction-based mentality. And that means, again, even just if we were ever going to come across a situation where we're really stuck, they're not in that situation. They're less likely because they've put in the care and preventative care, but the headspace is different. It's no longer, I've got to fix this problem. It's, I've got to help the dog. And that means the dog is less likely to get rehomed. It's a language in their own mentality. If we can start to literally change the inner monologue in their head of the public and the rescues, then away from dogs are trying to be naughty, we can probably stop dogs getting rehomed so much.
Yeah.
And then the final factor, I think we have to get councils on board.
Yeah.
Like on a government level, there needs to be some sort of reason for people not to just backyard breed.
Yeah.
Well, I think didn't they bring in place you have to sign up to get a breeding number now to sell a dog?
Every state has
Every
a
state.
slightly different version of laws, which we've struggled with AdoptaDog, because some have a breeder identification number, some have a source. It's all a bit kind of all over the shop with state-based laws, which doesn't help when you're trying to do something at a national level. But, it's steps, yeah. Some states are doing really good jobs of doing things, and I'm really, hopefully, I think of myself as practical, while we will tell people and try and put forward rescue dogs as the best option for a new member of your family. Sometimes understand that that's just not right for a certain situation. So if someone's going to get a dog from a breeder, if we can just get them to one that's doing it ethically, and where the animals that are the fathers and the mothers are in a good situation, then I think that's the best outcome for everyone. Yeah, because the last thing you kind of want a puppy farm dog that's a bit brutal.
I mean, that's it. There's critical learning stages of the dog's life, and they do make a huge difference. Even the genetics, proven these days that the puppy in the womb gets affected by the hormones of the mother. You've got the critical socialization stages. You've got the adolescent stages, and I think it's really important, again, like where we get our dogs from. We do want to avoid those backyard breeders, because the parents are probably not exposed to the world as much. They're probably living in poor conditions. Then when they're born, they're not going to be socialized very well. I think I've mentioned this in a couple of episodes before, but we'll go through it again. It's the kind of, it's not so much that when you bring a rescue dog into a situation, into your home, and say it gets scared of something, a lot of people go, oh, maybe it's scared of that individual. Maybe it's been abused by a man or something like that. I think while that could have happened, it's also more likely that it probably just didn't get exposed, and so has no learned coping skills.
Yeah.
So these again, it goes back down to education on, in our foster carers, in the rescues. If these guys can actually really understand that socializing is about exposure, calm exposure, and creating positive experiences, not hyperarousal and running around, then we set these dogs up to get rehomed more easily, and not likely to come back into a rescue situation in the future. So ideally, once we've got a dog rehomed, it sticks.
Yeah. And
we don't want it like a cereal.
No. The last thing you want for, that's traumatic for the dog and for the family. Yeah. If they have to take a dog back out of a situation, have it come back into a shelter, that's not great for anyone. Yeah.
Nobody wins there, do they?
No.
So it comes back down to that education factor, and if we can, I think that goes, I know I emphasize it a lot, but that mental health issue of, if we learn how to look after the dog's mind on every level, from the owner's level to the foster carer's level to the shelter level, we can really set these dogs up for a win. Yesterday I was working with this beautiful Amstaff, great dog, lovely dog, really friendly, really nice. And he couldn't focus on anything. And it looks like, to the naked eye, to the general public, that this dog is really energetic. And I'm looking at a dog that just can't actually settle. He's got no more physical energy than the dog next door that's asleep, but his brain's stressed. And when we took him out of the kennel, he's hypervigilant and he's looking around, but every single memory he's forming while he's in that frame of mind is a negative one, because he's stressed. And so I explained to this team, I was like, he probably shouldn't have gone out that day. Sit in the kennel with him, let him go for a pee out the back, but bring him back in and just play some calm games with him. Make him have a good day. And a good day doesn't have to be running. That's what I'm getting at with looking after the mental health.
I think that's what everyone thinks, when their dog's running, they're happy.
Yeah.
It's not always necessarily the case.
No.
Yeah.
And if we look after that side of it, it's so easy. And how many people are trying to keep up with their dogs physically? And who ends up more tired?
You can't win. They'll outrun you all the time. So there's a lot of myths about owning a rescue dog. So can you just run us through a few of them?
Yeah. So, I mean, we come up probably against three all the time, which I really want to try and help people get by and understand so that they think about rescue dogs as an option for them. So we touched on one earlier, which is that there's something wrong with rescue dogs. That's not the case. It's, like I said, generally a change in circumstances of the owner that ends up making a dog get abandoned. But when you're looking for a rescue dog too, the things I hear all the time is, number one, I can't get a puppy. I don't want a rescue dog because I want a puppy. Literally 60% of the dogs on AdoptaDog are puppies.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We get like 30 uploaded every day. People don't realize, they think, because of the first misconception about there's something wrong with the rescue, they just don't assume there's any puppies. And they're
probably assuming that if you're going to get a puppy, you have to go to a breeder.
Yeah.
So if we could actually make it aware, raise the message that puppies are available, not just from breeders, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's huge. There's so many. It's actually surprised me a little just how many there are. I thought probably we'd have like a quarter of the dogs on AdoptaDog be puppies. There's literally about 60%.
Wow.
And they're cute little buggers too. I get to see them every day as they're uploaded. I get these alerts with them all their faces on there, which is kind of cute. So
the main reason why I follow his wife Kim on social media. She's just every minute just
puppies.
photos.
If you want to feed puppies, you can set up alerts on AdoptaDog, and they just come to your inbox if you want.
I need to do this now.
Yeah, please do. It's fun, yeah. So, and you get to, but on the upside of that, you get to see all these beautiful little puppies that are coming in. So that's a big myth that people think they can't get a puppy. The second one is if they want an older dog, they don't think they can get the dog they want. They just think rescue dogs is a mixed breed, and there are lots of mixed breed rescue dogs, which is a great thing, in some instances, genetics wise, it can be helpful if the dog's genes are mixed. It weeds out a lot of problems. But if you are looking for a Labrador, or you're looking for whatever breed you want to, you probably either find one at your local rescue shelter, or because the ratios in shelters or in rescue groups mirror the population. So there's lots of staffies, lots of labs, because they're the two highest owned dogs generally in Australia. So you can always find one of those at a rescue shelter. But even if you want something kind of obscure, like a Dog de Bordeaux, there's a Dog de Bordeaux rescue. Yeah, so just type in whatever kind of breed you want and rescue, and there's probably a breed specific rescue that can help them.
That's right. And I mean, most of them have got their own Facebook page.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can literally go and get the breed you want, and you don't have to get it as a puppy, and you can go and get it as a rescue and do a really good thing. And that, like you say, I think that is a bit of a misconception. I don't want a mutt. Well, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Mutts are good though too.
I've got one. I love it. I mean, I love mutts.
But if you don't want a mutt,
I think the point is, like, you can literally get the dog that fits your life. As a rescue dog.
Yes.
And it if anything, it's it actually opens up more doors to possibilities. And like going back to earlier, if you're honest with yourself, this is what I want, need, and then you can go and look for that and be patient. I think, as hard as it is when we all see a dog, we go, oh, puppy, and pick it up and take it home and, oh shit, rush that one.
Puppies are, I think people forget, puppies are so hard. Like, they're a lot of work.
Yeah, they are.
A lot of work.
Yep.
Yeah. I've only ever owned one puppy. And it was bloody hard.
Yeah.
Django is not hard.
Yeah. You need to just be prepared for, exactly what you're saying. The dog that you want.
They
need
a lot of training. The puppies generally cry at night. There's lots of great things about puppy, but people don't realise that they're like a little baby. Yeah. So so they need a lot of attention. And that's why sometimes an older dog is a better fit for someone's lifestyle or where they are in their life at the moment.
It is. It's I think as well, it's a lot of investment in time. You can throw as much money at that dog as you want, but it doesn't matter. If you don't invest the time, then you will set the dog up to fail.
Yeah.
But that's not just puppies. That's just
every dog.
Every single dog that you bring into your life. Like, don't expect it to just be Robo Dog and walk in and go and just
Sorry, what? Can you do that again?
Nope. Absolutely not.
He just did. You can't see it, but he just did like the robo dance in here, which was interesting. Yeah,
I did not apologise for that. Worth it.
And what's the third myth?
they were the 3 big ones.
Oh, that was
yeah.
I can't count.
We did the first one earlier.
Yeah,
Oh, right. Got you.
Thank you for saving me from my robo dance.
But if people can't, there's another option I want to tell people about if they're not ready to adopt, or their work schedule or something doesn't allow them to. There's other ways they can help their local rescue group. From volunteering, like going down to the shelter, or fundraising, advocating. And then another great way that you can help out is fostering, which a lot of people don't realize as an option as well, where you can take a dog in. So a lot of the rescue groups that we work with are foster carer based. So literally the dog gets taken out of the pound into the rescue group's care, and they place it in someone's home. So it's not in a shelter, it's actually in someone's home. And there's literally thousands of foster carers around the country who do an awesome job, because they are literally saving a life. So once that dog's taken out of a pound and it's into a foster care situation, then another dog, gets off death row per se, and can take that place. So we're fostering a dog at the moment called Ted for Sydney Animal Second Chance Rescue, and he had been a bit of a neglect case when he came into the pound, but they took him on, and he was a bit flea bitten too, and he's got his back legs a little bit wobbly. But with the right nutrition and the right care and a bit of love, and Max running around jumping at him every 8 hours a day.
Dodging Max bullets every day.
Dodging Max bullets. Yeah, well, Missy just looks at them both, just shaking her head.
How relieved is Missy right now for Max to just displace him to someone else?
Just like, thank God. Yeah, so, but Ted has really come a long way. And he won't be with us forever. He'll just be with us for a couple of months. And fostering can be sometimes as short as a couple of weeks to a few months, depending on lots of variables.
The needs of the dog.
The needs of the dogs. Who's, someone has to adopt them, so you've got to find them the right home. So that sometimes can take a while. But that's a really good option if you're not up to a lifelong commitment.
I feel like I'm a big advocate of fostering dogs. I love it when people do. One of the things that I actually try to encourage people to do is, say, for example, they've got a dog with, unfortunately, we see a lot of people try and fix separation anxiety by buying another dog, when that might not work. And buying a dog and bringing a dog into your life full time is a big commitment and can potentially make the problem worse. So what I often suggest in that situation is foster. Go and bring a foster dog in to see if your dog actually likes the company of another dog, or if it, because then you can narrow it down. Does your dog take comfort from the company of a dog, or does it actually need the company of a person? Because if you went out and just purchased another dog and brought it in, then all of a sudden you've got 2 dogs and you haven't resolved the initial problem, and you're going to end up with twice the problem. Whereas if you go out and go, do you know what, I'm going to do a really good thing. I'm going to foster a dog. I'm going to bring it out of I'm going to help a rescue out. But you get to literally find out if this is a practical solution to actually resolving your issue and the bigger issue. I love foster dog. I think I've got friends that do it, and they often foster fail. And end up
which is when they keep it. After a while, which happens a lot. Foster fail. But to all the foster carers that might be listening, congratulations and thank you. You guys
Absolutely.
do an awesome job. The rescue group network that we work with wouldn't survive without those people.
That's right.
Wouldn't. So they're literally saving thousands of dogs a year, these guys.
One of the things that personally I'm putting together is some information videos for people that initially bring a dog into the home, and it actually applies to puppies, foster dogs and rescue dogs. But what I'm going to try and do is make this available to everybody, just so we've got some and actually trying to create an online community. We've got the community with this podcast as well, and the idea is that we create a platform for people to lean on one another. We've all most of us, especially foster carers, they quite experienced dog owners. But that doesn't mean that you're going to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers as a dog trainer. I don't expect anybody else to either. So look out for platforms to support networks. And this is what this podcast is. This is what the social community that we're setting up is. And and the videos as well. We're just trying to help out as much as possible. So keep your eyes out for that, everybody. AdoptaDog's been doing great things now for a short period of time, but you've had your long-term project SavourLife, which has been, as we said earlier, doing great work for rescues for 5 years now. What sort of products can we see from them, and how what can the public go and look for in the store so that they can do their part for rescues across Australia?
Yeah, cool. So AdoptaDog is a portal that sits off the SavourLife website. So just Google SavourLife, or we're savour-life.com.au. So we are a different kind of company. We're a social enterprise, we're called. And the food that we make and the profits that are generated through that funds all this stuff that we do with the rescue groups, that funds AdoptaDog, that funds the development for that and keeps it going. So whether you have a rescue dog or not, you can still help rescue dogs by buying our products. So you can pretty much go into any pet specialty store across the country and find us in there. We're in black bags. You get SavourLife on there. You'll see us on there, and we have a range of food, like dry food, grain-free, and also an ancient grain range. And we've got a huge range of treats as well, which will probably sit in another part of the store. So the food will be in the food section, the treats in the treat section. All Australian made, natural stuff, great for your dog. So it's good for your dog and great for rescue dogs. So you can help us that way and help us keep on trying to solve this problem by getting something great for your dog. So, the one thing that I've always focused on with SavourLife is making the best products possible. What we do in the background with rescue dogs should just be a bonus, So you want the best thing for your dog, and that's what we try and provide. And then what we do with rescue groups is just something that I hope everyone appreciates and is happening in the background.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we use the treats every day.
Yeah, the chicken ones. I love them.
Yeah, it's
gosh.
Yeah, they're like the biggest seller we've got. Chicken training treats.
They're so good.
I
mean, why am I saying this? I haven't tried them personally.
Are you sure?
The dogs,
a couple of drinking games, a couple of dares.
The dogs, they love them. They do love them.
Absolutely, and as well as there's the natural range as well. We're big advocates for giving dogs long-lasting chews, such as goat horns that you provide, and that we're big. We've been friends for a long time now, but we're also a big fan of your product, which is really added bonus, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's we're big advocates for your brand. So
thanks. Yeah. If you got a dog, or you even know someone who's got a dog, you can find us, like I said, in any kind of pet specialty store across the country. Just ask the staff for SavourLife, and I'm sure they'll point you in the right directions. You'll be getting something great for your dog and helping a rescue dog in the process. So
you've done a great job.
Great job.
I got a present for you guys to finish up with. Hey, so I guess sizes, but Sophie, there's one for you.
Thank you. We've got a nice SavourLife shirt here.
But you got to read the front though. Yeah?
It says "Rescued is my favorite breed."
Hey.
Oh my god, I love this.
Yes. Thank you so much.